Salam, Episode 1. This is our cry, peace in the world. This podcast comes from Iran, under a sky where the fear of war still lingers. But this episode isn't about battles or borders. It's about people and what it feels like to live through conflict. In the next 20 minutes, we will step away from the front lines and sit beside those who carry the war inside their stories and still choose to breathe.
Yemen, Japan, Iran, Ukraine, Sudan. War. Yemen, Japan, Lebanon, Bhutan, Sudan. War. Oman, Yemen, Japan, Iran, Ukraine. War. Sudan, Lebanon, Bhutan, Sudan, Ukraine. War. Austria, Serbia, Latvia, India, Zambia. War. Africa, Latvia, Serbia, Georgia, Zambia. War. Syria, Namibia, Zambia, Georgia, Latvia. Serbia, India, Africa, Latvia, Georgia. Dominica.
Unlucky ninjas. What will happen in 2026?
Costa Rica. Puerto Rico.
A short message from Sean Kuti, a Nigerian musician.
But I have an advice for young people in Europe. I know you want to free Palestine, you want to free Congo, you want to free Iran. There's a new one every week. Free Europe from right-wing extremism. Free Europe from fascism. Free Europe from racism. Free Europe from imperialism. Forget about us. Don't worry about it. Free Europe.
127 band. No jazz in the army.
Used to forget about my damn future each time I heard the chords ring. But these low-techs, they keep on pressing, and the light bugs getting dim. What do I have to lean on when the ceiling's on the crack? So I just sit here and dream on, taping life into a track. Why don't you mind your own business, my friend? 'Cause I've arrived at the level of the track.
The story I want to tell goes back to Iran-Iraq War. My mom and dad fell in love with each other. They worked at the university. It was one of those quiet loves, the kind where you both sort of know from the distance that you're drawn to each other. The kind where friends pass along messages like, someone has feeling for you. And they steal glances but quickly look away. When they finally feel ready to take a step forward, the war breaks out. 3 weeks into it, everything is still chaos. But my dad realized he can't wait anymore. He gathers all his courage, walks to my grandfather's house, and asks for permission to marry my mom. And Grandpa tells him, "You're a good man, but go now, come back when the war is over." Dad thinks it will be over in a couple of months, right? He drinks his tea, says of course, and leaves. And it takes him 3 years to come back. When finally he does, he says, "I can't wait any longer. What if war lasts forever? What about us?" And finally, my grandfather gave permission. They get married in the middle of the rocket fire, martyrdom news, sirens, and food ration. It wasn't easy. Even now, when my mom talks about those 3 years of waiting, she cries. She says, "The day your dad come back, I couldn't believe anything could last that long. Not war, not love." And my dad always smiles and says, "We didn't think it would go on for 8 years." That "we didn't think" has stayed like a bone stuck in the throat of their whole generation. A generation that thought one day this will be all over. That one day they'd be able to celebrate good things on good days, right? But first came the revolution, then the war, the inflation, pressure, and now another war. Their lives passed by on calendars full of crossed out days. And still, whenever they hear air defense sirens, they say, "Okay, don't worry, it will pass." But I know things don't really pass. They settle deep. I think my parents have seen a lot. Bread lines, ration cards for oil, endless trenches, and brief moments of joy cut between two disasters. Maybe that's why they're calm now. Their faces always tell me war never really ends, and there's no such a thing as after the war. You shouldn't postpone life for anything.
شبی تاریک در دشت تنها صفیر گلوله، در جاده تنها نفیر باد، در دوردست نور ستاره ها به خاموشی می گراید. شبی تاریک میدانم بیداری و در بستر جوانیت پنهانی عشقهایت را پاک می کنی.
My dear, as I write you this letter, the news says the fighting has stopped, at least for now. During those silent days without internet, Farhad's voice became my refuge. Listening to him gave me strength. As he sang, "I do not fear death. I faced it many times, and now it seems to dance before me, again and again." I still see him clearly, wearing white, hair turned white too, a sorrowful smile resting on his lips. The city feels anxious. Time, people, places, everything feels like it's repeating, like echoes from another era, as if the memories of the 80s war have risen from the ground again. But the journey doesn't end here. Farhad is still with us. So are those we've lost. We carry their presence, we carry their peace. Whatever comes, we are not alone, we are together. Let's live more fully. May the fire of war never reach the roots of love.
I woke up and there was a message from a few friends asking if my family was okay. I started calling them, no one answered. I checked the news and yes. The back of my eyelids turned orange then red. It was as if my head suddenly went blank. Then I remembered my dream from last night. There was a big black gun in my right hand, and I had been trying to hide it under my silk dress the whole night. I left the studio and I started to walk in the area that I was temporarily staying for a residency. I collapsed on a stone bench under a tree. The sun was coming out from under the clouds and quickly hiding. How to leave this one? I don't know. This should end now. I turned sideways. I felt like I'm 100 kilos. I could see a bit crooked, an 18th century castle on top of a hill, the axis of the city surrounded by forest. 2 wedding parties were taking place on its steps at the same time. The guests were all dressed up, pink, yellow, green, blue, and taking group photos with champagne in their hands. This is the hardest part of immigration for sure, I thought. Are your family okay? Your friends? They will start asking. When are we going to realize that we are all in this together, from all over the world, no matter how far away? This is not a binary situation that can take a position on. This is a collective disaster, and only by accepting this we can take steps towards a change. I turn on my back and close my eyes. I feel the heat of the tears gently reaching the back of my ears.
Everything has changed. It feels like something is lost. It has been lost for years, and my whole body has been trembling so much. My vision is blurry, my hands are frozen, and now I am in even greater shock. I don't remember some things anymore. I don't remember times when my body wasn't shaking. I can't remember the nights when I could sleep for 8 hours straight. I don't remember what it felt like to wake up without the stress.
We had gone on a short trip for the weekend when the news of the war broke. We didn't return to Tehran. Instead, we decided to stay at a relative's house just to see what would happen next. One afternoon, Navid was sitting in the living room when suddenly we heard a sharp sound like something hitting hard the balcony door. We looked outside and there it was, a small swift bird fallen down on the ground and helpless. It had likely been stuck there since the night before. Navid rushed to his rescue and I followed him right away, capturing the moment on my phone. It had nearly died while it had been lying there, starved, exhausted and hopeless, as it had given up on surviving perhaps. But then, unexpectedly, its fate took another turn. It survived and started flying once again. Watching that little bird survive and seeing it fly away to the sky lit up a ray of hope in my heart.
ماکان اشکواری.
از دامن باران هزاران گل سرخ می روید از دامن تانک ها هزاران گل سرخ می روید شکر امروز هم با نان تازه و جنگ شروع شد.
I remember it clearly, lying on my back in a carriage, watching sunlight flicker through the leaves as they danced in the wind. Anna once told my mother about this. She was just 4 years old back then, and somehow this was where everything began. The start of a life that would never be the same again. After Stalin died, Anna's grandfather took the whole family and fled to Iran. But the eldest daughter, Yaman, stayed behind. She had married an Azerbaijani man. Her life was already rooted there. For years, letters and photos were all they had to stay connected. And then, during the Iranian Revolution, they finally managed to plan a phone call. It was a big deal. Calling across the Soviet-Iranian border? Almost impossible. Yaman was thrilled. She told everyone. She packed up with her family and traveled all the way to Astara, that border town in Azerbaijan, just to hear her loved ones' voices from the other side. But the lines didn't work. The call never came. Heartbroken, she went back home. The sorrow was too much. And not long after, she passed away. Years later, after the fall of the Soviet Union, Anna, now 58, returned to Azerbaijan. She hadn't been back since she was 4. But as soon as she got there, she recognized the neighborhood. The streets, the smells, the light. It felt like her memories had been there all along, just waiting for her to come back.
Even years after the atomic bomb fell on Hiroshima, people kept dying. Sadako Sasaki was only 2 years old when the bomb was dropped. As she grew older, during the memorials, she would look up at the sky and whisper to herself, "The doves must be the souls of the dead, free, flying high above the city." When she turned 10, she got sick. Leukemia, caused by the radiation from the bomb. She was taken to the hospital. One day, her best friend brought her some colorful paper and a pair of scissors. "There is a legend," she said. "If you fold 1,000 paper cranes, the gods will heal you." Sadako didn't believe it, not really. But when she folded that first crane, something lit inside her. Hope. They kept folding. Each crane, a tiny wing of color, hung from the ceiling. Sadako folded cranes every day. Some days she was strong, some days she could barely move, but she never stopped. By the time she passed away, in October 1955, she had folded more than 600 cranes. Her classmates made the rest to complete the 1,000. They buried them all with her. Her wish didn't bring healing. It brought remembrance. Sadako became a symbol of peace. Now, every year in August, on the anniversary of the bombing, people from around the world visit her statue. They bring paper cranes, and at the base of the statue are these words: "This is our cry. This is our prayer. Peace in the world." You are listening to Unfinished Dream of Sadako by the Tehran-based post-rock band Crows in the Rain. Even in the darkest moments, in war, in loss, in silence, something quiet and powerful endures, the human power to begin again. And when the time comes, may we each have the courage to begin. Thank you for listening to our very first episode. This wouldn't have been possible without the support of our dear friends. A heartfelt thank you to Arash Zarrabi for creating the beautiful music and sound design, to Anita and Baran and Samin Sabet for their generous help for the content. A special thanks to those who shared their stories. Mersen, who told his parents' story, and Mobina, Mahbube, Sagar, and Meshkat, thank you very much. You can find links to the music and other materials in the show notes. As Farhad always said, in hope of rain and peace. Khuda Hafiz. Anita and Sarina, cover of a song from Shafagh Siahpoosh.
Bye.